skin, and it tastes like Jack when I'm kissing him. So I told him that I never really liked his friends. Now he's gone and he's calling me a bitch again. It's a guy that lives in a garden state, and he told me that we make it till we graduate. So I told him that the music will be worth the wait, but he wants me in the kitchen when the dinner plate. I believe that we're meant to be. But jealousy, get the best of me. Look, I don't mean to...
How you doing all? Welcome home to SuperMex Nation, your veteran voice in the Valley and the voice of Mexican America. So glad to be here. You know what time it is. It is Wrap-In Monday. Yes, that means we go through the weekend. I'm not with you, obviously, on the Saturdays and the Sundays. We finish up the Friday nights where we've been doing an ongoing series on education with my crime partner, Swainbo, the Education Rambo. You like that, right? Swainbo. So Swainbo does the Friday nights with me. And then we go into the weekend, finishing up with that heavy topic. We have maybe about one or two nights left with Tim Swain, former educator, well, actually current educator, former administrator, and a whole bunch of other things. But we will do at least 1 or 2 more weeks. What we are doing is, and it's getting kind of, it's meaty and it's heavy, and you got to listen, and it's an hour worth of meat, right? But it is 2 people that genuinely care about the state of education in America, and we are dealing specifically with the high school age group, 9, 10, 11, and 12th grades. And we're breaking down, if we had the ability to just flick a switch and do everything we wanted to do without any red tape, without any bureaucracy, without any administrative bias and interference from people that make a buck to further their career. I'm generalizing, and I will say that's not everybody, right? But there are a lot of those, and I do believe, honestly, that it has become more a percentage of education than it needs to be or it should be. And so Swainbo and I kind of take it from a perspective of, if we had the ability to remove all the political, all the games, all the career path, everything that is not fundamentally at core for student and teacher in the classroom, that is what we're breaking down, and that is what we're giving you. So we've done a couple nights, the last 2 Friday nights. We might do 1 or 2 more. He is very knowledgeable. Again, he's got a wealth of experience, at least a quarter century plus. I'm not without myself in that department. I did teach, not as long as he has, but I have been in and around education my entire adult life, and that includes private sector to education. Did a supplemental education services company, coached in and out of system. So long story short, we've got a good handle on what it needs to be, and we're continuing to do that. And I know it's not easy. It's a Friday night, but we have some fun, and we do our date night, cheap date night. A couple guys that we're both spoken for it, and we do well in terms of our lives with our significant other. We're pretty stable, pretty solid guys, so we're trying to impart some expertise back to you young dudes that are beginning to watch more and more of my show, and I appreciate that. We'll say something about that in a second. But finishing up the Friday, get into the weekend, and since we're not, we don't do a show, at least not yet, on Saturdays and Sundays, we come into the Monday, and quite literally there are plenty of items that go on throughout the weekend, that are newsworthy and that you have to kind of get a handle on prior to entering, your heavy work week and become inundated. And it starts on the Monday, right? As soon as you're back, it's like boom, 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 inundation into this with who knows what kind of information. And I am quite literally concerned that you are getting an unbiased, unfiltered, unobstructed, unobfuscated view of the day's news as you head into the week, so that when you do get those biased versions, almost entirely one-way left, one-way right versions, that you'll be able to see through the smoke and the mirrors and actually make good quality decision based on fact, some type of logical analysis, and a clear-headed view of what it is that the information is, because we all do know there are biases left and right, one way or the other. All right, I'm trying to give it to you without. I do have my opinion. If I have my opinion, I will state that openly and not try to skew you one way because I can take advantage of you as my audience. I am hypersensitive and hyper aware to the fact that I do have a trust with those of you that are still here, that in the number that's coming, that's growing now in a different way, organically, in a good way. I've been made aware by some of our fans, our super fans, SuperMex superfans, that we are now reaching outside of just the bounds of the United States through analytics. We're gauging that we are getting an audience outside of the U.S. Nothing significant or massive yet, but there are some people in other parts of the world that are beginning to watch. And so I'm extremely mindful of that, and I want to be 100% crystal clear about that. No, I'm not going to speak in German to somebody in Germany. I won't speak Dutch to the gentleman that's watching in Amsterdam, South Africa, other parts of Latin America, South America, Canada. So it's kind of all over the place, and I'm not speaking to you specifically in those languages. Obviously, I'm speaking to you in English. So I'm extremely mindful of the fact that we have other people from outside the U.S. watching the SuperMex Nation. So again, hyper-aware, hypersensitive to the fact that my English better be good. And without any hyperbole or over-exaggeration, it is definitely good. It is at least above average. That's not saying much. This is 50, 60 years ago. I'd probably be just about average, right? But fortunately for now, I am above average at the least. I won't go beyond that. Don't try to make it more than what it is. But I will say that I definitely make a concerted effort to make sure that you are getting quality language, quality instruction, quality education, quality information on this end from SuperMex Nation. So again, to join all of you guys in the nation from my local area here in Central California, all the way out throughout the country, because we still have a pretty loyal and steadfast following that goes all over the place, different parts of the country, back east, Midwest, etc., South, and now we're getting people that are outside of the continental and territorial U.S., and again, I'm really, really happy about that, really, really mindful. So one thing before I get into tonight's issues and topics, because there's quite a few of them, I'm going to try to do them in an even-handed fashion where I'm giving you nice, concise bits and pieces of information and try to cover as much as we can, because by the time we get to Wednesday, it's going to be a good night, because we do have the Fresno State wrestling team, and basically that is the coach and some of his staff and maybe some of the wrestlers. Real proud to announce that we did that show for the first time, I want to say about a month ago, prior to them leaving for the NC2AA championships. And I think it's been about a decade and a half, because we had a program that was discontinued and killed, for lack of something better. Coach Steiner has resurrected our Fresno State wrestling program, and I'm an old wrestling guy, an old wrestling coach, so I'm mindful of the fact that we lose that sport throughout the country in a variety of colleges, and I do think it's a loss, ladies and gentlemen. Wrestlers are a breed apart. We really are. It's not all about the end zone. Do with it what you will. It's not about, slamming and getting a dunk. It's not about hitting a homer. It's about hard work. It's about discipline. It's about perseverance and grinding face-to-face with your opponent. No hiding. It's just you and that other person, guy or now girl, against that other person one-on-one. There's something to be said for the type of person that wrestling raises. And so real happy that for the first time in a decade and a half, Fresno State now has an All-American wrestler for the first time, and I think it was 2003. I can be correct. My Wrestling Nation, you guys let me know. I did get that snippet, but I may be incorrect. If I am, please correct me online on SuperMex Nation. So the young gentleman's name is Josh Hokett. He's also a football player on Fresno State's team and was part of the Mountain West Championship team. So just so you guys out there, I'm going to throw this out to you wrestling coaches and parents. Listen, you can have multi-sport athletes in your program. I will go overboard and tell you right now, and this is just my bit of advice out there to the nation, don't relegate your child to one sport singularly. There's so much benefit to being able to do more than one. There really is. And it's not just in the physical sense. There are a lot of benefits to having a child that explores, experiences, experiments in other avenues, other sport. Obviously, you can see how that obviously translates to the mental. I do believe that entirely, but we're staying on the physical right now. So and the athletic. So Josh Hokett, the first young man from Fresno State in about a decade and a half to win an All-American honor. Now here's the thing: they've only been back 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. 2 years, Fresno State wrestling, and I'm proud to say they have their first All-American. Everybody returns. All 5 of their national qualifiers all return next year. So I'm going to guess and hazard a guess that the coach that we've got now, Coach Steiner, is going to pull us more than one All-American next year. He may end up with 3, 4, 5. I don't know. But I'm really, really optimistic. So they're going to be back on Wednesday. Looking forward to that show because some of you guys don't know. Some of you guys do. For those of you that don't know, I'm an old wrestler. I wasn't the greatest on the planet. I started real late in high school, but the sport did change me, and it changed my outlook and perspective. And to this day, I still work with some kids. I still coach. It is my way of staying connected, not just getting out here in front of a microphone and talking about everything that I know. I actually believe in doing. You guys know that. This isn't a talk show. This is a do show. One of these days I'm going to have a live audience so we can do that, right? I'm going to say, this isn't a talk show. This is a do show because I still do. I don't talk about the things. I do them. I absolutely believe in that. So that's what we got coming this Wednesday. Then we'll wrap up on the back end of the week with Swimbo. So we've got plenty to cover tonight, topical, and then some just not necessarily political, but I want to prepare you for the week. I want to prepare you for what came from the weekend and get into the week in a fashion that even if we're not talking about hot topic in politics on Wednesday night, because we're going to be talking about something specific, an element of our lives, which is sports and athletics, and we will be doing more of those in the future. Again, you guys all know how this works. I've been telling you this for a while. Once my daughter graduates here in about another month and a half, we will begin to flesh out a full smorgasbord of programs. We're lining them up now. I have in mind what I want, and it is going to be something unique to me and what I do, my perspective and my view, but coupled and grouped with and coordinated with other minds and other people of like mind. So what you won't get on the SuperMex Network is, you guys know how this works. We don't take a lot of shots individually at other people. We don't individualize, we don't demonize, we don't villainize, even if we don't like what the other person is doing. We don't do that here. Is everybody clear about that? I want to make sure we're 100% clear because, ladies and gentlemen, there's plenty of that. There's plenty of it on the left or the right, by the way. So we don't do that here. And I'm quite sure that that's why some of you continue to tune in and some of you continue to watch, because I actually look at it as a motion to mindlessness, a devolution to the petty. I will not diminish the quality of what we do here. And this is for some of you guys that are not even in America anymore, because there is concern by some of you in other countries that that shining city on the hill, that beacon of not just hope, but intellectual and social excellence, the United States. That's us. That is us. Let's make sure we're clear about that. That is who we have been and what we are, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you in this country. And to those of you outside of this country, I'm putting you on notice right now. You're going to want to continue to watch. You want to know why? Because you're going to get good quality English. You're going to get good quality issue of the topics that Americans are facing today. And most important of all, we're going to reassure you in a really good way that the America that you knew, the America that you hoped for, the America that you grew up wanting to be like, we're still here. We're still here. I'm still here. And that's what you're going to get when you turn into SuperMex Nation every single time that I come on. All right? We don't do petty. We don't do little. We err on the higher side. And yes, I know it's really, really easy to go and build that sheep mentality where I can be the shepherd and I have large numbers that follow me just because of what I say. I will not do that. I'm going to gamble with house money that there is an audience out there for me that doesn't want the mindlessness. I think my quote this past week was this: I don't want sheep. I want fellow wolves. I want fellow intellectual wolves. What does that mean? Question openly. Ask me. Question my information. Question my facts, because I'm going to have some facts for you tonight, and I want you to question them. I want you to find out for yourself, because that means that you're thinking, ladies and gentlemen. That quite literally means that you are forcing that gray matter to operate at a higher level of efficiency other than spiking your like total, spiking your number of shares or views or how many Twitter retweets you get. Let's do a little bit more, and I'm going to gamble, again, with house money, that we're probably going to get that anyway. But we're going to do it right from the bottom up, build a base, strong, intellectual material, societal, political, cultural, all of it wrapped in one. but we're not devolving to the petty. And I'm not here to just try to gain a number so I can look good and feel good about myself when it's all over and done. So again, SuperMex Nation, be mindful that we do have people from other countries. I'd like you guys all to welcome them if we have them start joining in. We're starting to get more because now we're active and live on YouTube at the same time, simultaneously, that we are on Facebook. And I'm really, really thankful for that. Glad we're doing it, and we're only going to get bigger and grow because of that. So we do have people watching YouTube on an international level to couple with our national audience and our local audience on the Facebook channel. Nothing but love for all you guys. Nothing but love for you continuing to tune in, share out, challenge somebody to actually listen to something that matters, that is factual, that is logic-based, that is solution-driven. Challenge somebody to do that because it's real easy to go get a 5-minute snippet, right? Because that's part of the rationale as to how you get more audience. I get it. I understand it, and I'm probably going to do some of it. But on this other end, I will not sacrifice that quality just for the quantity. Let's couple both. Let's manage both. Let's find a way to reach that happy medium so that we can actualize not just maybe somebody out there that bounces around and doesn't have the attention span for more than 10 minutes. I get it. I absolutely do. Crazy busy world and everything's coming at you like this. I absolutely get it. But let's find a way to tease that gray matter in a fashion that not only forces, but gets somebody addicted to actually wanting to say, I'm more than a 5 to 10 minute soundbite. How about that? That's serious business for you. So that's my really big, really long opening line for tonight. But been doing a lot of thinking over this weekend. I'm really, really enjoying what's going on. And like I said, we're building solid, fundamental. And as we get closer to, out of April into May, closer to the summer, we are going to begin to put in place mechanics necessary to increasing our audience, again, methodically and inexorably moving in a fashion that's going to increase our number without sacrificing the quality of what we're giving to you. Everybody clear on that? All right, and there's plenty more where that came from as we go forward. So here we go. Home. So this week I'm going to give you 2 snippets, and then we're going to get into 2 meat and potatoes. Game of Thrones just started. Game of Thrones. You're like, where did that come from? Okay, I've been watching religiously Game of Thrones since it first came on. I have read all the books. I don't think the last one's come out to close out the series. So what they're doing is the series on HBO is going to close out prior to, I believe, the book. So the television series will be done because this guy George R.R. Martin he's gonna have an industry. It's going to be like J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. And I think she's a billionaire by now. It's multi-leveled and varied. It's not just a book anymore. It's movies, it's merchandise, it's theme parks at Disneyland. It's probably going to be all that, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want to make too much of it. I do like it personally. I am a fantasy geek going back a long time ago. I joked with a guy yesterday. I did play AD&D, Dungeons and Dragons, but I actually played pencil and paper. Not the video stuff, right? I played pencil and paper with dice. That was a long time ago because it was a thinking thing. It wasn't just go play a video game, go to the arcade, right? So I won't give too much of my thought on. I want the series to play out as it needs to. So the series on TV, HBO, will probably be, I'm going to guess, might be different and may even be different in form because they may have multiple endings or it'll be different than what the book ending is. If you do have a chance, I would recommend the books. I think at this point there's 6, maybe 7 of them now. Might be 6 or 7. They're not small, but I will say this, and intellectual, not arrogance, but being a little elitist here, but it's not Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien. It's not Tolkien. That's my bread and butter Bible on the fantasy end. That is the beginning and the end. That is the alpha and the omega when it comes to fantasy writing and fantasy genre. And I will go a step further. I think the biggest thing is what I told my son today. The biggest thing out of the Game of Thrones thing is, like, it's a great series, right? It's medieval in concept, at least in look, but it's the dragons. You got 3 dragons. And with what you can do today in CGI and technology and visual is absolutely insane. You could not do this 15, 20 years ago, maybe not even 10 years ago. It started in 11, I think. But it is absolutely insane, the quality of what you get. I will tell you this. If they do more on the Tolkien end, if they do more than The Lord of the Rings, and they do more than The Hobbit, if they go back further in Tolkien's universe, and they go to the Silmarillion and the first age of elves and men, it'll blow anything away that Game of Thrones or any other fantasy series can do. You got me on record as saying that. Okay, so some of you guys that may be, some of you guys and gals out there, if you're geeks for Tolkien like I am, that fantasy subset, that fantasy genre, reach into the first age of elves and men. There is absolutely nothing like it. The three dragons on Game of Thrones would be nothing, absolutely nothing, in terms of the bestiary that would be offered by Tolkien. So I'm being a little bit literary geek, but I am a little bit that too, by the way. So it's nothing compared to that. But for right now, it is a good series. If anything, if you like the backstabbing and the intrigue and the strategy of houses trying to one-up each other and control and gain power, it's almost like current political politics, right? Yeah, it is. Everybody will do something, and everybody will do what they need to do to try to get into that seat, the Iron Throne. So started yesterday. I don't know how many nights it's going to be, but it's going to run for this season, and it'll close at the end of this season. This will be the last, final season. I recommend it. I absolutely do, because it's not just fantasy. It's about relationships. There's really good acting, and it's a series that if you really get into it, you probably won't want to get out. And the books are excellent. There's my pop culture reference for today, getting you some Game of Thrones. All right. Topical today, this was happening, as it went out today, the Notre Dame, Our Lady, Notre Dame, Our Lady Church in Paris. At last I checked, when I was on my way in, it was somewhat salvaged. The front facade, the spire went down, that did collapse. Most of the upper inside of the church, the roof, which was mostly made of wood, did collapse. But most of the shell, if not the body of the church, remains intact, and they will rebuild and build it better. So look, I'm a Catholic. It's a building. We have a lot of buildings, but I'm going to say it, ladies and gentlemen, it was a masterpiece. And I'm a history guy, so I'm a former history teacher. It was a masterpiece of high to late Middle Age architecture in Europe. And we don't build things like that anymore. At least I know we don't in America. But it's incredible. And if I was in Paris once. I did not get to Notre Dame. I was a young guy doing other things in Paris, and unfortunately and sadly, I wanted to sightsee, but my partners didn't want to do that. They wanted to go party. That was that simple. So we didn't get to. I didn't get to. But it is unique. So I'm a Catholic, and we're heading into. We're heading into Easter. Palm Sunday just passed, I think, and we're looking at, it is significant. And the fact that, you try to, maybe, the issues in Paris, because they're all social and political and cultural, the issues that France is having for a lot of different reasons, political, social, and cultural, maybe this gives them the opportunity. And why do I bring this up? I'm going to tell you why. Because sometimes it takes commonality. Sometimes it takes something negative to bring people together. And I'm genuinely hoping that doesn't happen in our case, but I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not the doom, the doom bringer, but it just seems like we're heading more and more that way. We need something not good to happen to us to remind us all of what we really are. So for those of you guys in the nation, and if you're in the group, I posted yesterday on Sunday that there were 3 young men, Marines, killed recently in Afghanistan. As a subtle reminder to you that this country of ours is bought with blood, and it's not free. And I'm not doing that because I'm a vet and I want to lay heavy on you, but I'm doing it as a reminder that these people die so that we can do our thing. I'm aware of that. I don't serve anymore, but we got young people dying so I can continue to do my thing as an adult. But I want to illustrate the point here to do with the Notre Dame Cathedral and the issue that we had today in terms of a fire that and hopefully brings those French people together and gets them some commonality. I'm going to say this for us. We got people dying still, in other parts of the world. They're not the only ones, but I'm going to continue to do that on my page. And if you're in it, I'm going to remind you. Nothing negative, all positive, just a not so subtle reminder that we have a lot more to be thankful for, and a lot more to be grateful for, and a lot more to have in common than we have to be not in common. And we need to start reminding ourselves of that a little bit more. And if I have to, I'll use this bully pulpit to not so subtly remind you of that. That's why we have a SuperMex Nation. There's a hell of a lot more to it than just, oh, get up on here and start talking about all the bad things that go on in a day. There's some good stuff too, and there's some good people in this country that actually make that attempt, even if we don't see them all the time, because media, over-sensationalized and other forms, do not cover the good things that we do. I will do that. Well, we'll do that Wednesday, right? We'll have some good young people and some good adults that are helping build this next generation in a positive way. Okay, so prayers out to the lady, Our Lady, Notre Dame in Paris. Wish the best. Fortunately, no loss of life in that accident, in that tragedy. I don't even know if it's an accident. They don't know what the actual cause of it is. They're ruling out any type of arson, nothing like that. So nobody died. Fortunately, no loss of life, other than a World Heritage Site, a monument, and something that's very, very integral, even to us in the United States, right? You can't watch it. There's old movies, that Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's an old movie. I don't know if some of you guys have watched it, but I did. A little boy growing up, see Quasimodo jumping and dancing through the upper rafters of Notre Dame Cathedral. That was just so cool. All right, so remind yourself of those things. All right, so let's get down to the ugly. Get you ready for this week. Okay, this is what we're doing. Give you a little bit of that, a little bit of this, but let's get down to the ugly, and let's get down to business when it comes to the political, to get you ready for the week, because I think there's going to be a lot more of it. So I've got 2 items tonight, and we're going to do those in a good even-handed fashion, 10 to 15 minutes apiece, and then we'll be done for the day. I got to stay at my 1 hour, getting better at that. So I'm going to talk about today the Sanctuary City situation coming off the weekend, off the Friday, Saturday into now, and then the Mueller report, which is going to come out again, in another form or fashion, as far as we've gotten on Thursday. Supposed to be Thursday morning. Got it. Okay, so we got it this coming Thursday. So let's do this, because I have both of these items that are very, very significant. I will leave. Let's go with the Mueller thing first, and then we'll finish up with the Sanctuary City dump and what the proposed situation is. And I'm going to try to do that in a lucid fashion to where you guys understand it's not just a view of, okay, just do this or do that. You got to understand that it is obviously heavily politicized, and it is a back and forth. And when it becomes a back and forth, there's this, and it pulls us apart, you and I and others in this country. And that's not good. And that's quite literally why I point these things out. Not because I line up on one side or the other. Not because I'm just taking a shot because I don't like that guy, or he doesn't like me, or she doesn't like me, or he doesn't like me, whatever. But we need to point out, and we need to be fact-based on how we point these things out so that you guys understand what's coming through the week. Because you will get, I know some of you guys listen, a lot of you guys listen to other, and I encourage you to do so. I don't want you just being here, right? Go, do, other. I've always said that. I'm comfortable enough in terms of my ego for you to go out and experiment, listen, and try or be parts of other thought. That's significant and that's important. I absolutely believe that. I won't tell you somebody else is wrong. I leave that to you to decide. Yeah, how many people tell you that do this? Not very many, okay? I leave it for you to decide. And that's why you should come back. So the Mueller report Thursday morning. Take a little Mueller report Thursday morning. And so by all intents, what we're supposed to get on the Thursday morning is a redacted version of what was initially submitted to AG, Attorney General Barr. Okay? So what Bob Mueller submitted to AG Barr is what we are going to get once it has been fully redacted, basically blacked out. For those of you guys who don't know what redaction is, basically going to black out things that have to do with, and we had that discussion here, and Jeff was, we talked a lot about that with Jeff that night, Jeff Crow, Brother Crow. It will be redacted based on grand jury and national security items, grand jury national security items, because there are still ongoing cases that could be influenced or that they're not supposed to allow people information on as those investigations, or excuse me, those trials or court cases, criminal, et cetera, are still going on, investigations are still going on. So we can't know those things. Is everybody clear on that? We can't know those things. So we won't get that. Those will be blacked out. National security items. I think you guys all understand that. I'll digress and be a little slob here, and I'll just tell you, I wish I could. I honestly wish that I could see national security items, not because I would want to go blabbing my mouth to everybody, and I'm not that guy, by the way. I'm the guy that you tell something, and if you want it kept in confidence, nobody will ever know about it. It'll go to my grave. So I'm that guy. I actually can hold confidence, and I don't run my mouth about items that are important to somebody, specifically and especially when that person does not wish those items to come out. Right? I'm the guy you can trust with a secret. So I would like to see the national security items, and I'm gonna run this way. So in terms of the report, here we go. You want meat and potatoes? I'm going to give it to you right square in the face. On the Mueller report, this is what I see, and this is my belief at this point. If you're a Republican, you don't want to see the report, you don't care about the report because you're worried it might affect President Trump. If you're on the Democratic side or liberal, or you don't like President Trump, you want to see the Mueller report to find something that is bad about President Trump. There it is. That's about as simple as it gets, because that's all true, by the way. That's all true. You can disagree and maybe not to the same degree believe that, but the more I see, the more I hear, and the more I talk to people, it is ending up crystallizing that fashion. If you don't like Trump, you want to find something on him. If you do like Trump, you don't want anybody to find anything on him. Okay, now I'm not saying there is or isn't. I don't know. You don't know, because we haven't seen it. We don't know it. It's that simple. Okay, I don't know, you don't know. What I do know is this, and I tried to slip through the chaff in the fog of war with simple, crystal clear clarity. I don't care here or there. What I care about, and I was very specific to this, and I've been saying this the entire time, I can actually cut through the fog and say what was the principal purpose, which was Russian interference in our election. Okay, so let's put all that other aside. Now, you do trust me to that degree. You still watch. You may not like everything I say to you sometimes, but I'm going to guess that when you go home at night and you're done, you actually say to yourself, okay, I may not like what SuperMex said tonight, but I absolutely know that he's not doing it from an evil place, and he's not doing it maliciously, and it's not just to beat down somebody, left or right, president or congressman or whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that way. I just don't. It doesn't move my needle at all. It's actually a wasteful expenditure of time, I believe. So what I'm telling you is this. The principal purpose and the main purpose, and the one that I never left off, and that I've, with a rabid tooth and a locked jaw on, that is my primary concern. What did they do? How did they do it? And how do we make sure it doesn't happen again? So I don't do this very often, but I'm going to ask you right now. You guys know I don't go through the Facebook followings as I'm doing this. I leave it to you, and then I come back later, and then I answer or I talk to you in my comments section, whether it be, now I'm going to have to do it in YouTube too, so I'll do that too, but on YouTube or Facebook. But I'm going to ask you directly. I really want to know, because I am becoming more concerned that the politicization, one way or the other, whether you're left or right, is becoming so much that all you care about is whether it gets Trump or doesn't get Trump, and it sets him free or doesn't set him free. If that's all you care about, then we are failing as a people. If that is the primary concern. That should not be our primary concern, whether the president did or did not do something. What should be our concern is what was done to us as an American people. Because I'm getting closer, and I don't use this type of language because I am a vet and I am a former soldier. I don't use the harder language of it was an attack. But in essence, I'm moving that way now. It was a cyber attack. We are being cyber attacked on a consistent basis. And it is up to us as a people and as a nation to be mindful of it and expect our leadership and leaders to actually do something about it. So this is what I'm going to ask you. Can we at least all agree? And I don't give a damn if you're to the left or to the right. I really don't. But can we at least not all agree that things were done to us and we need to find out what those things were so that they don't happen again? Because if they do happen again, through our inability to keep focused on that primary issue, then we're losing ourselves. And you want to say this country isn't what it used to be? That's how we will not be what we used to be. When we have an inability to see through the fog and the clutter and not focused with an intellectual eye on the things that are most important to us, the commonalities that we have. Listen, on 9/11, that was clear. We were attacked. We were united. At least for a bit, right? At least for a bit. I didn't hear a whole lot of Democrats, you know, when President Bush stood on that ground. I didn't hear a whole lot of Democrats crying and complaining about it because he needed to do that, and you get behind your leader, right? Remember that? Yeah. We were united for that. I won't go into the Iraq war and all the other stuff up until now, Afghanistan, okay, because you guys kind of know where I'm at with that too. I'm not for some of that other. But clearly we were attacked. Clearly something needed to be done. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's not physical, it doesn't mean it's not taking place. So I'm hammering you hard tonight because you really, really need to be mindful. Get rid of the clutter and the chatter and the Facebook and YouTube jockeys that just want to create a number out of who you are so that you just listen to them, even though they're telling you things that are so far from the truth and so far from the meat and potatoes of what actually happened. They don't give a damn. All they care about is creating a number. By the way, you're that number. I don't care about creating a number, even if you don't stay. I'm creating principle. I'm talking about actual items that occurred. So please, please, by all means. And if you don't agree and you don't want to acknowledge that we were attacked in cyber and voting, et cetera, whatever, you don't agree and you don't want to hear about it anymore, I get you. I understand. I'm not telling you not to. It's a free country. And I've served for your right to do so, and I'd quite literally do it again if they'd take an old dog. I'm still physically okay. I can handle a little bit, but they wouldn't take me. Way too. I'm closer to 50 now, so it wouldn't matter. But I think you get my point. I really want you. I want you guys listening right now, and I want you guys listening in other countries, by the way. Can you not agree that the most significant thing that we can do is stay focused on the fact that Russia and potentially in the future, maybe the near future, other countries have the ability to damage the United States, our electoral system, and our cyber capability. That is going on right now. It already went on. And I'm asking you, I'm imploring you, I'm pleading with you, can we at least not agree on that? Can we at least, please, agree on that? That did take place. We need to be mindful. We need to be understood. We need to get to this Thursday morning, and we need to take, at least from what we can, in measure, because that's what I'm going to do. I am going to go through the damn thing myself. It's going to take a while, obviously, because there are hundreds of pages, but I'm going to go through it myself. And I want to know what was done to us. If there are other items, I'm going to set those aside. Yes, you heard what I said. If there are other items having to do with the president or other people in the administration, I'm going to set those aside to focus specifically with the laser's edge right on the most important topic, which was and is going forward with what was done to us in our elections and what is being done to us in cyberspace, the cyber world. That's significant for me, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm asking you because I'm trying to appeal to you on an intellectual end. I'm trying to appeal to you in your better nature, not just to hate one side or hate the other. I'm trying to find you some common ground so that you could acknowledge that things were done to us and we should be united in making sure those things don't happen again. How about that, America? How about that? That's SuperMex Nation right there. Let's get together and making sure that it doesn't happen again or that we are not attacked again. I mean, I cannot believe that in this country, the greatest country this world has ever seen, the greatest democracy this world has ever seen, the greatest representative republic this world has ever seen, the greatest economy, the greatest military, there's a lot. We are the greatest. We are the gold standard until somebody else is. And let's hope that's not any time in my life or this century, by the way. And that's why I'm working hard to make sure our youth get better and not just the excuse that they're not, okay? So let's make sure we do everything we can to get together in some common ground and acknowledge these things happened and remove the clutter of the political of what comes out on Thursday morning. And let's get to the meat and potatoes of what actually happened this past election cycle so that it doesn't happen again. I want to get some love there. I don't ask for it very much. Every once in a while when I post something about soldiers, I do. But I'm asking you on this one. Stay with me here. Stay strong. Even if you don't like the way I said it, you don't like the way I put it out, you don't like the way it might question some people, you do understand that we have common ground. We were attacked as a country. We should be together on that. Okay? And we don't need no leader for that. We don't need a Congress. We don't need a president. That should just be common, ladies and gentlemen. That should just be common. That should be you and your neighbor. And yes, sometimes your neighbor's in California, and maybe you're in New York or Wisconsin or Florida or Idaho. You're my neighbor. We're neighbor through cyber now. We're neighbor through TV. We're neighbor through Facebook. We're neighbor through YouTube. I consider you all my neighbors unless you don't want me to be. Unless you don't want me to be. Okay, so you're probably wondering like, okay, well, you talk about the Mueller report. That is my talk about the Mueller report. That's it right there. That's what I think, okay? I don't get blinded by the shiny objects and what talk radio and news media do to you. No. I'm laser focused on that aspect of what the Mueller report is because that was the reason why it started. It wasn't because Donald Trump was just a candidate and he was colluding or not colluding with Russians. That was actually kind of sidebar. It was supposed to be about what Russians were doing and if there had something to do with the president. That was an extra, an add, another. It wasn't the primary purpose. But because it's been politicized, you may think so now. It's not. I'm telling you no. I'm telling you what the meat of this was. I'm telling you what the most important aspect of it is. And I don't do that very often. I don't pontificate too much. But I think you guys, once you remove the layers of clutter and people telling you what they think you want to hear so you can feel good about them and maybe increase their number or their likes or their views or their shares, when it's all over and done, this is the single most significant thing that we can find, at least for now, going into the next election cycle, because I'll be the first one to tell you, you guys don't know where I'm at. I'm a Cold War veteran. I'm a Cold War veteran. If you don't know what that means, 1945 to 1991. That window. I'm actually in a group on Facebook, actually, so it's Cold War Vets. 1945 to 1991. In that window, up until and after the dissolution of the Soviet Empire, the fall of the Berlin Wall, etc., that is my window. That is my time. I'm a Cold War vet. And until I die, I'll always think, unless I see something significant change, that Russia doesn't mean us well. You can quote me on that. Absolutely. Russia, it is not in their interest to see us do well. They are number two. They would like nothing more than to be number one. And there's only one other at whose expense it can be. That's us. That's us. I'm talking right to you. Whether you believe it or not, I do. Because until it changes, it is still them. It is still them. Okay, there's my Mueller report for you today. Thursday is going to be something, right? And so Wednesday, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to leave it alone. Maybe we'll get to it by Friday or afterwards. I actually will take what is given, what is available, and I will read through it myself. Maybe I distill some of that. Maybe I bring it back. I think I'm going to end up having to because I've been kind of loud out in front of it. Maybe Jeff has a different perspective. Maybe Brother Darren has a different perspective. Again, Brother Crow and Brother Miller are a little bit more to my left and more to my right, depending on issue. On a straight political continuum, yeah, I'm kind of in here somewhere, you know, middle. I think we're swinging too far left, too far right. It's going crazy now. Too far left, too far right. Maybe theirs is a little bit different, but that's where mine's at. All right? Bell-shaped curve. The majority of Americans are right here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just give them some good information. Okay? Let's give them some good information. Remember, the party system, the ideology systems are designed to move you one direction or the other. They're not constructed to bring you to the middle. They're designed and constructed to move you to opposite ends. And I don't know about you, that ain't good for my country. Quote that. Okay. So here's one. This was kind of funny. Funny in a not good way. So President Trump said that, and this is where I need to stay with you guys here, you know, where I'm at. This is the geographic thing, okay? This is a geographic thing. His claim was, and I do believe, I mean, the guy that's giving, this guy Miller that's giving him all this advice, I don't think they're considering some things that it's going to do, because I do see it as some division. There's division here. So the sanctuary city dump, where they're saying that they will take, if not asylum seekers, you know, because it's asylum seekers or just people just trying to cross the border. We're talking about the southern border again, and you guys know where I'm at about that. We never talk about the northern border, ports of entry, which in my world, military and security world, is dumb. It's dumb because there are opportunities for other people to do us harm through the northern border and ports of security. And we have factual evidence that does show that that is the case. So anyway, I digress. That's another topic, another time. But for right now, we're talking about people, you know, this crazy now massive and bigger number of people that are coming from South America, or excuse me, south of the border, not just Mexico anymore, principally Mexico, but the triangle. Obviously, you guys know about those Central American countries, and they're coming up because of instability, war-torn, ravaged, unstable, not even democracies. They're third world countries, and it's bad for those people. So they're trying to get out of it. I'm just giving you the hash. You guys know how this works. They're trying to get out of that. They're trying to move north, and they're trying to go to that shining city on the hill. And guess what? That's us. Okay? So I do know a lot of you, and a lot of you don't, but a lot of you do believe that that's not our business. That's not our problem. I'm like, here, you know, it is and it isn't. There are problems that go along with it. I think the problem is, and here's the here and the there, I don't think it's black and white. It really isn't. They're trying to make it black and white so it seems like it's bad or good. This is a hell of a lot more complicated, by the way. And let me throw this out there right away. So notice how we've gotten to a point where there is no solution because there is no discussion between the president and the Congress, at least the Democratic leadership in the Congress, because Democrats control at least the House, not the Senate. Because Republicans control the Senate. So there's no discussion here anymore. I mean, we're probably not even going to have that anymore. There's probably not going to be any discussion at all to actually solve the main problem, which is our laws on what is and what isn't. So I said last week, there are things that the president can do, and there are things that the president can't do. Some are legal, some are not legal. Okay? The item on asylum seekers, and I was really, really clear with you. This isn't just me telling you. You may want to shoot the messenger, but go ahead and shoot away. Okay, but it's a fact. Asylum seekers, we cannot just say to hell with all the asylum seekers. This is legal. That's a legal item. Okay, we do have laws admitting asylum seekers, and then it's the backlog, and it's how many judges we can get out to hear all the cases. That's all legal. That's all law. We can't stop that. What the president can do, and I said this last week, according to his powers within the executive branch, is he can close the border. He can. That presents other problems. We won't go down that road because that's another half-hour conversation. He can legally close the border. That is within his purview as the president. That is his right, and that is his power to do so. And whether you like it or not, and I'm going to say I don't, you know, nobody wants to see this, right? It's just ugly. But, you know, he can legally separate families, which, you know, some media has blared out and blasted because it looks ugly and it's politically ugly. Okay, so, but he does have the right to do that. It's according to the laws that we have on the books. So as he executes those laws, those things are legal. Those things are legal. Asylum seekers, however, he can't just say no because that is also legal. That would be illegal of him to try to do that. So let's get to this little bit here. So we have sanctuary cities all over the country, by the way, and not just in the West, not just in Western states like my backyard, Fresno, California, but we have them throughout the country. And I saw a piece today, the Seattle mayor, Durkin, I believe, a female, she's a Democrat, she said we would handle them. Or she was like, okay, if you're going to dump them in sanctuary cities, go ahead and do it. We'll deal with it. I was like, whoa, you know, because I understand that aspect of social vigor. I'll explain that in a second. Social vigor. I understand that aspect of it, but some of my friends brought up a good point. They're like, Richard, we can't even house or feed homeless vets. And, they're digging on me, right? They're digging on me because I'm a veteran. They're like, we can't even house and feed homeless veterans. We can't, in essence, we can't take care of the people we do have. And that's not wrong. Now, some of my friends on the left may not like that. Some of my friends that are Democrats may not like that, but it is true. That is true. Because I've seen homeboys, veterans, that aren't doing well or are struggling, are not surviving. They're on the street. They don't have the ability to take care of themselves. Yet they live in this country and they served it, yet they're homeless. All right, there's a whole lot more there. That's another entirely different conversation, because there are things that go along with that would illustrate a lot more in terms of what vets can or cannot do. So I won't go down that road tonight, but I think you get my point. So there are plenty of people that have said we can't handle and we cannot take care of the people we do have. That's entirely true. That is true. And that's another conversation on and I was going to crack a joke tonight on tax day, because we are at tax day, right? Today's tax day. If you don't know that, today is a tax deadline across the nation. So we do have that. Okay. But I'm going to say it again. Until the Congress and the president actually sit down, and remember, the president can't make law. Schoolhouse Rock, let's go back to last episode, but last week. This is Schoolhouse Rock, for those of you guys that are old enough to know what I'm talking about. The president executes the laws. The president enforces the laws on the books. The president cannot make the laws. It is up to the Congress to write and create law. And it is up to our judiciary, third branch of government, to interpret those laws. It may not seem like much, but you'd be amazed at how many people don't know that, or how many people know that but don't want to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, this country has survived this long, thrived this long, because we have three co-equal branches of government operating efficiently with checks and balances on each other, so that no one branch gets too strong and dominates or monopolizes the power structure within our country and within our system. If we do that, it will be bad for us. Okay, so there have to be discussions. You have to sit down and you have to come up with a solution. Okay, so until we get that, where we have Democrats sitting with Republicans and the president and saying, we're going to come up with something, you're going to come up with something, and we're going to meet in the middle, and this is going to be it. It may not be what you want, may not be exactly what I want, but this is going to be our solution going forward, because nobody, and I'll be inclusive here, nobody will deny that clearly there is a problem, and we do have issue with laws concerning our borders. That's a fact. No hyperbole necessary. It's just straight fact, ladies and gentlemen. So until we have these people get in a room and solve these problems, then all you're going to see is what we have now, which is lobbing bombs at each other. This guy's bad, she's bad, Congress is bad, the president's bad, and we have no solution. And you know who gets stuck in the middle? Absolutely us. That is what it is. Okay, so I will say this with regarding to that's about as political as it gets, to say that we'll take asylum seekers and put them all in one city or another. And there'll be some Democrats that are in those cities and say, okay, send them to me. They'll do it anyway. I will tell you this. Okay, so there was a comment earlier on The Nation. I saw this, and I didn't get to respond to it, but I will respond now. Okay with legal, migrants. Absolutely legal. That's simple, right? Here's the thing, and we've talked about this already. We had a long discussion, Jeff and I, Brother Crow, one night in California, because I'm speaking for California. I'm not an expert on the other border states, and I'm not an expert on all the other states in the nation, in the union. But I will tell you this. California's economy and the ag industry, which is a large portion of who and what we are, we have one of the largest ag industries in the world, if not the nation. Okay, California's ag industry in the Great Central Valley, which I am from. I personally picked fig, chili, grape, cotton, citrus, you name it. I've done it. Palms, melons. I picked those when I was a boy, when I was younger. So I know what it is to do that work. I was legal, but I can tell you with purpose that everybody next to me, not all, were legal. There were a lot of illegal. people in those fields doing that work. What's my point? California, at least California, would not be able to sustain that workforce with just legal workers. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have an absolute answer? We kind of fleshed one out, but I would say nobody's got a precise answer. All I do know is, and this is because I worked in those fields, you do not have enough Americans that will go out there and do that work. That is a fact. So I don't know what the answer is. The answer is what? Maybe people from other countries, they come here, they do the dirty work, and then they work their way up the social ladder, and to maybe their little mijo or mija has a college degree. Maybe they're an attorney. Maybe they're a physician. Maybe they're president someday, for all I know. Okay? But that's a conundrum. And we talked, specifically, Jeff and I, about how there's a reason why some of those laws are not being touched, in California at least, is because if you put a hard line, and I think this is Jeff's quote, and he's not here, but I'm gonna plug him tonight. Jeff's quote was, if you really wanted to stop all illegal flow into California, at least California, then you would take to task and arrest and penalize, punish all the corporations and the companies and the businesses that hire illegal immigrants. Why do they do it? Because they don't have the workforce. If you want to stop it, that's how you do it. And I think you understand the conundrum there. It's a catch-22. If you do that and you penalize the companies, the corporations from hiring illegal workers, their industry and their businesses are gone. They'll grind to a halt or not exist at all. And then an economy will fall out from under itself. Okay? Again, don't have a right answer for it, but this is what I will say about that part of this country that was illegal, or because there have been a lot of illegal people that have come to the country over a couple 100+ years, right? That's a fact. So the mechanism to get people that are not, from the United States to actually come here and work their way up the ladder, social, you guys all get that, because a lot of us have had relatives in the past that came here, they invested here, they stayed here, they became citizens, and their sons and daughters were part of this fabric going back a couple 100 years. That's what you guys all get, and that's me as a U.S. history teacher, by the way. That's what I believe. So there's an aspect of it, and I want you to remember this, because we're winding down here. I want you guys to remember this. I'm not giving you like a silver bullet answer to all of these issues and problems. I just think they're going to get worse. I really do, because we're not going to get people in a room sitting down to come up with serious solution, serious policy, serious law. If you're a Republican, you'll blame the Democrats. If you're Democrats, you'll blame the president. Am I wrong? No, I'm absolutely right, and you guys know it. You may not even like hearing that, depending on which party you're in. If you're the left, you don't want to hear that. If you're on the right, you don't want to hear that. But ladies and gentlemen, it's a fact. You want to know how it's a fact? You want to know how I know that? Because it's still not done. You and I are sitting here actually talking about this discussion, having this discussion about these issues. It's not getting done. It's not just one side. Whatever side you're on, it isn't just one side. The government's supposed to work holistically, where they work together and get things done for the whole. If it was just the one side, just the Democrats or just the Republicans, monolithically one or the other, then this thing would be done already, when one has a presidency, when one has a Congress. Now you're beginning to understand the problem that we have. They don't work together. They don't sit down and discuss. They don't actually work things out. We are left with problems, and they argue, cry and complain, do things to each other, attack each other, rip each other apart, try to hurt each other politically. And you know who's at cost? Who's at loss? Yes, that's us. That's us. So what I'm asking you, and I'm telling you, is put aside the partisan garbage. Not just for you, for them, the leadership, right? All of them, everyone, from the president to every freshman congressman. Put aside the partisanship, and you might actually be able to get some things done. Okay, you might actually get some things done, and we may not have to suffer for it. How does that happen? It happens when we decide we've had enough, and it isn't just about a damn election. Because every time we do an election, we get some other yahoo that's going to do the same thing anyway. We have to tell them, day to day, minute to minute, congressional district to congressional district, all over the damn country. We've had it. We're tired. That's enough. Solve the damn problem. Okay? Here's the issue and the long-term problem that I see as I'm finishing here. What will happen is that, say for instance, you take I think the president's suggestion was take a load of illegals and dump them into San Francisco and Nancy Pelosi's backyard. It was funny. You know, it got jokes. And by the way, on SuperMex Nation, don't do the political jokes because I'm going to remove it. I know it's funny, guys, and I know you want your side viewed, but that's the whole point to what we're doing here. We're trying to get something moving that isn't hyper-politicized. Making fun of the other side may be funny, and it is, but I'm not doing it because, damn it, this isn't funny to me anymore. I can laugh and joke with the next guy, but this is enough. If we think it's funny and we laugh at the jokes, and you know what? They're going to do more. They will do more. And we'll sit there laughing about it while they do more, and then we end up crying about it later because we don't have a solution. So check this out. If he does that, or if he did that, because I thought he was going to close the border, then he didn't. So I have egg on my face. I was wrong, at least for now. Maybe he changes his mind. Okay, but if he were to dump illegals, migrants, asylum seekers, whatever, into San Francisco, I don't know what that would mean other than there would be liberals who some of you guys would say, okay, they're going to like it. Maybe they do. But there are some Republicans and some conservatives, not just in San Francisco, but in California. You know what they're going to say? Well, that's what we get because the president, you know, is Republican or he's conservative. But what you're doing is you're going to polarize. Now, be clear here. It's going to polarize some states against others. And that's where I have a problem. That's where I have a problem. I have friends and have had friends, and I have more friends now all over this country of mine. All over this country. I don't want to argue with you because it's funny to dump asylum seekers or immigrants into California and maybe not some other states because we'll have to do that burden and because, oh, we're crazy out here on the left coast. Damn it, I'm not crazy and I live here. All right? I'm honest, I'm straight, I'm clean, and I do what's right. So we're not all bad people out here. And we don't all deserve to be dumped on, good or bad, whether you think that's a dump or not. It's irrelevant. My point is that it's going to become politicized, and next thing you know, it's going to be states against states. You heard what I said. It's going to be states against states. Over here, over there, and then we disagree. That's my last thought for you tonight. I'm telling you now to be mindful of it, be aware of it. I know that, like I said, the mayor in Seattle, they're gearing up for it. A lot of the western states are prepared. They're saying if they have to, they'll deal with it. And I think that's unfortunate that we even have to get to that point because it is going to even further partisan us. I'm using that in a different form, right? As a verb. That is going to divide us even further, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to end up breaking on a political map into 2020. There you go. There's your insight for tonight. It's going to break us on a political map for 2020. Oh, they're blue anyway. Send them over there. We're red. Don't do that. Okay, if you're the Democratic side, like, oh, they're trying to hurt us, hurt the red states, hurt the blue states. Where does it end? It doesn't until the next cycle's done. I'm telling you, we have to be mindful. We have to understand what's going on. We have to understand and see right through the politics before they do it to us, or else we'll be unwitting pawns and sheep sitting there watching as it is done to us. That's a lot for tonight. Those are my opinions, some of them. Most of it is fact, though, because those are things that are taking place currently. Be mindful. Be wary. Don't believe everything you hear, including me. Fact check me. Find out for yourself. And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, I do this all the time, make your own decision. Make your own decision, because that is what I served for. So you can have freedom of choice, even if it isn't my choice. I absolutely respect and would fight for your right to choose what you want to, even when it doesn't coincide with what I believe. There you go. That's SuperMex Nation for tonight. Look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. I need a lot of people sharing and watching. Good people. Non-political, just good stuff. Good people doing good things for our nation's youth. There's my show for tonight. I'll see you on Wednesday. SuperMex Nation out.